to call to order the Maple Run Board of Directors meeting for March 5th, 2025 at 6 p.m. We call this to order. And do an agenda review. I wonder if there's any adjustments to the agenda that's needed. If not, we'll go with it as is. We'll accept it as it is. Can you please stand and join me for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'm going to go to item 4 for the board reorganization, and I'm going to call for, if there's anyone that would like to make a nomination for board chair.
I will. I'll nominate Nilda.
Great. Are there any other nominations? We do not need seconds in nominations, we just need nominations. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Not hearing any, I would like to instruct the board clerk to cast one ballot for Nilda Ganella French to be board chair. And congratulations, Nilda, you are the chair. I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Oh, we have to vote, right?
No.
No, there's only one nomination, and that's where we can do the cast of one ballot, then I can instruct
That's right.
with the clerks to cast one ballot for you as board chair. For those of you, Nilda and I talked about it and researched it in Robert's rules. You can just call for three times without having to have a vote to close nominations. You can go either way. So I chose to go with the 3 calls for nominations.
Okay, so we need a nominations for vice chair. Anyone like to nominate someone for vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Charlie as vice chair.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, I'd like to instruct the board clerk to cast one vote for Charlie Brooks for vice chair. Thank you. Board clerk, may I have nominations for the position of board clerk?
Assuming that she's willing, I'll nominate Joanna.
I'm just going to put it open if anybody else wants to.
I will do
If you
it.
want out, I'll nominate someone else.
If anybody, I'm just,
Okay. I'll stick with my nomination, Joanna.
So who do you nominate, Joanna? Yeah. Any other nominations for board chair?
For board.
Board clerk? Any other nominations for board clerk?
Don't resign that fast.
Any other nominations for board clerk? Hearing none, I'd like to request the board clerk cast one ballot for Joanna Jaros as a board clerk. Thank you. All right, we need to elect Collins Purley board representative. I'd like to have a motion for someone to be nominated for Collins Purley board representative.
I will nominate Jack.
Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, I would like to instruct the board clerk to cast one ballot for Jack McCarthy as the Collins Purley board representative. Thank you. We need to elect a Northwest Career and Technical Center and Cold Hollow Career Center Regional Advisory Board Representative. And I think this is new for us, right, Phil? Yeah. So.
Yes, it is new.
Thank
We
you.
talked about it 2 board meetings ago, that we need to do this.
May I have nominations for that position? Somebody was interested, was it Nakuma?
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Nakuma for that position.
Okay.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, I'd like to ask the clerk to cast one ballot for Nakuma, fill in your last name, please.
Palczewski.
Thank you. As the Northwest Career and Technical Center and Cold Hollow Career Center Regional Advisory Board Representative. Thank you. All right, we're going to do a bunch of them all at once now. So I am going to make the motion to approve the professional staff negotiations team as to be determined as needed. Approve the support staff negotiation team as to be determined as needed. Authorize the board chair to sign teacher contracts, vice chair in chair's absence. Authorize Bill Kimmel and Aaron Smith as checking account signatories and backup treasurers. Authorize the following to sign other contracts and award bids less than $40,000. Superintendent, assistant superintendent, principals and directors, business manager, and purchase orders only, the accounting supervisor. Authorize the following hiring and terminating process. Administrators, superintendent recommends to the board for approval. Teachers and professional staff, principal recommends to superintendent for approval, and FYI to the board. Authorize the following as truant officers. BFA, Jonathan Bratko, Fairfield Central School, Kelsey Malba, Sachs, Stacy Rulo, and Zaytech, Christina Boisno. Approve regular board meeting dates as the first and third Wednesday of each month, except for July and August is the third Wednesday. Approve MRUSD designated newspaper as the St. Albans Messenger. Authorize the person responsible for taking minutes and getting them to the central office for posting to Aaron Smith. Authorize the use of the following methods of posting for board meetings. Central office, St. Albans City Clerk, St. Albans City School, BFA St. Albans, St. Albans Town Clerk, St. Albans Town Educational Center, Collins Purley, Fairfield Clerk, Fairfield Library, and Fairfield Center School. Authorize the following procedure for handling director's orders, which we call warrants. Central office prepares and reviews warrants weekly. Central office prepares checks. School treasurer signs. Central office mails. Full board review, vote to approve and sign. Authorize the following procedure to approve purchase orders. Notwithstanding the bid and contract requirements specified by law, authority to issue purchase orders is as follows. School building administration, when the cost is $25,000 or less. Superintendent or central office designee, when cost is over $25,000, but less than the VSA threshold of $40,000. Central office designee with school board director's approval when the cost is equal to or above $40,000. Approved grant authorization letter as presented. So you have attached a list of all the grants that we are, if not, it's in the packet somewhere, I read it. It's a big list. Authorize donations and additional grants up to and including $1,000, approved by administrators, donations, and grants above $1,000 approved by board as part of consent agenda. Authorize the following procedure for field trips, principal pre-approved field trips, any out-of-country field trip. The superintendent needs to approve and include notification to the board. Accept the code of ethics acknowledgement that passage of this motion will require an individual board member's signature on the document. So I made that motion. I just want to clarify everyone's okay if I don't read all the list of grants. Yeah. So I made a motion. I need a second for that, please.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Ready to vote? Okay, so we're going to do a roll vote. Amanda,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Nakuma,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Joanna,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Mary Ann,
Yes.
thank you. Suzanne,
Yes.
another votes yes. Thank you. So we have got those. Next item is, we're not doing the code of ethics right now? No. Thought we were. I think we are.
That was part of the motion.
Yeah, so you have before you a sheet that has the code of ethics for Vermont School Board members. This is taken right out of the Vermont School Board members book. Here it is. As a member of my local school board, I will remember that my primary concerns must be the educational welfare of the students in my district and excellent return on investment for taxpayers. I agree to conduct myself in accordance with the following commitments. I will act within the scope of my official role. Recognize that a board member's responsibility is to see that schools are well run, but not to run them. Act only as a member of the board and not assume any individual authority when the board is not in session, unless otherwise directed by the board. Give no directives as an individual board member to any school administrator or employee, publicly or privately. Avoid making commitments that may compromise the decision-making ability of the board or administrators. I will uphold the highest ethical standards, not receive anything of value by contract or otherwise from the school district or supervisory union unless it is received as a result of a contract accepted after a public bid, in public recognition of service or achievement, as a board stipend, reimbursement, or expense allowed by law for official duties performed as a member of such board. Not solicit or receive directly or indirectly any gift or compensation in return for making a recommendation or casting a vote. Agree to recuse and remove myself from board deliberation and votes when necessary to avoid the appearance of conflict of interest. Not agree to the hiring of a superintendent, principal, or teacher already under contract with another school district unless assurance is first secured from the proper authority that the person can be released from his or her contract. I will respect my peers, my constituents, and confidentiality concerns. Voice opinions respectfully and treat with respect other board members, administrators, school staff, and members of the public. Maintain confidentiality of information and discussion conducted in executive session and uphold applicable laws with respect to the confidentiality of student and employee information. Attend all regularly scheduled board meetings insofar as possible. So then you have a signature section here. It says, I agree to abide by the principles outlined in the code of ethics and will do everything in my power to work as a productive member of the leadership team. If you can sign it, please, and date it. We're going to have Aaron probably pick them up at the end of the meeting. Today's the 5th. Any questions on that section? Okay. Next is the visitor section. Anybody in the room here as visitor? I'm not seeing any. John, anybody online as visitors?
We have several different staff members, but it doesn't look like any community visitors.
Okay, so I'm gonna skip over the visitor section. Item 6, consent agenda. We have approval of this media packet and the BFA athletics donation. Anybody need to pull those out, any of those out for discussion? Hearing none, consent agenda is accepted without objection. Moving on, the board, D is the board annual work plan. It's off center, so that was part of that consent agenda, sorry. 7, reports to the board. We have the student board representatives report. Ron.
My name is Amelia Wallace. I'm a senior at BFA St. Albans. I'm a member of the Student Voice Committee, and we've been working on recruitment lately. Today, I finished handing out the last recruitment form to an individual that had been nominated that I am going to be interviewing with the help of another one of our members, Olivia, and Jacoby and some of our other members are still working on getting all of their files out. But we're hoping to have that done by the end of the week and then begin interviewing new candidates next week.
Yeah.
Just that stuff.
Yeah, we've had a super successful process, even though with all the snow days and everything, that might have thrown us behind, but we have 2 more buffer days, which have been nice. We are rounding out, like handing everything out. I think my team just has 2 more people who have been sick the past few days when we've been handing them out, so we're just gonna hand them out tomorrow, and we've texted them to make sure that we've found people who know them, who can text them to make sure that they're gonna be here tomorrow. So it's been a little bit of a process, but we're confident that everything will be done tomorrow, and then on Monday we have our first round of interviews, which will be exciting, and I think we have 32 candidates, so it will be a very busy month making sure that everyone gets a fair and equal interview with the same amount of time and everything, so we're excited for that.
Thanks. Any questions for our student reps?
Yeah, is that 32 candidates like a standard pool for you guys, or is it?
Last year we had 8.
Okay, so it's a little bigger than normal.
Yeah, but nothing we can't handle.
Suffering from success.
Yes, good problem to have. Yeah, and what's been really nice is that every candidate that we have is different and comes from different life experiences. So we're really proud of that well-rounded group of nominees that we have, and we know that when we're like looking at like, you know, who we want on our team, we're gonna have like a lot of diverse experiences, which is really positive. And we have people from every school, and it's really good. We're really happy with the way everything has just been turning out. So it's been a positive.
How many positions are you looking to fill?
We are open to we are probably going to cap it at like 14 to 15 people, and we'll have like 6 people like that are, we'll have 6 people moving on next year, so we have like 6 to 8 spots open, so definitely a pretty good number of new people to come in, just because that's how much the room can hold, and so I would love everybody, but yes.
Thank you. You've obviously done a good job making it interesting and fun for people who now want to join. Great. Okay, reports to the board. We have the town meeting day results. You have attachment 7B, which has a breakdown of it. Bill, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I think yesterday was just a great day. I did talk with, first just applause. Thank you to the community for the support. Really well founded. Congratulations to Nakuma and Joanna and Charlie for being reelected. That's great to have you back on the board. And looking at those results, John and I were texting last night. And it looks like, I didn't go back to the history, and Aaron would know a little bit more than I would, but from what I recall, we had about a 56% in favor and 44% opposed, and that's pretty close to what we generally are. We're usually somewhere in that 55 to 62% in favor, except for last year. So that's kind of been our trend. So it seems like we're kind of back to where we were in prior years. It was a low turnout compared to other years. This is one of the lowest that I can remember. But good news is everything passed, and we have a complete full board. So that's what I would add.
Thank you. Okay, next item is old business. We have the Vermont Education System Reform and Status and Update Bill.
Yeah, so a couple of things I'd like to note. Yesterday I sent all the board members, it was in Vermont School Board Weekly Update as well. The Speaker of the House has started a survey any individuals in the state of Vermont on what their hopes and wishes are for Vermont education system into the future. There are 4 main areas of that survey, and I would ask that all of you take a chance to fill that out. It took me about 25 minutes last night to fill it out as I was waiting for results. So it's a pretty qualitative survey. You can add as much as you want. I know that that's being put out all over the state, and they're trying to get that feedback by next Monday. So I would urge you to do that. I've sent it out to the Maple Run staff as well, and asked them to give their thoughts. So this is something that the legislature is trying to collect for both the House and the Senate. As well, I want to thank my colleague Amy Rex from Milton. She put together a timeline. I think most of you are aware last week a bill was put forth by our representative Casey Tooth to be in alignment with the governor's plan and proposal for education. There's been a lot going on in the past week, and Amy Rex went through, and then with a couple of us from the Champlain Valley Regional Superintendents, we looked at this timeline that I gave you a copy of. If you were to read the bill, it just kind of puts the pieces in a timeline facet with some of the things that would happen. Some of the changes since the last time we talked about that happened in the bill that were opposed to what the plan when that was being presented by the secretary and some of the outlines. The biggest change I can say is school choice. In the plan that came from the governor, that was to be a K-12 school choice system with a lottery. In the bill, it is a 9-12 school choice with a lottery. So it doesn't have lower than 8th grade and below. That's about the biggest change that I saw from reading late last week, the full text of the bill. I already know that there's been a new revision since the end of last week because they sent it out in a draft form and edits. And if you wanted to kind of get an idea of, this is starting in House Education, I would have you go watch an hour discussion that happened on Thursday. That was just a discussion of House Ed and where they were and what direction they wanted to go with the bill, as well as on Friday, the House Ed released a GIS mapping tool that links all the schools and the schools' conditions and enrollments and a lot of data. And the House Ed has talked about them being the ones talking about how many districts will we have in the future. So the House Chair, Representative Collin, he sent out, he asked all the committee members to play with the tool for a week and come back about what they would like to see for possible district numbers. And they also talked about on Friday at that same time, what goals are they trying to meet and if they were to redistrict the state. And what I will do in the next day is I will send you links in your email to those 2 different hours. I think that they're the most descriptive of where the House Education Committee is right now. There's 3 or 4 other discussions about different makeups of districts from different representatives and senators. So it's all over the place right now. I would take any questions. I mean, I don't want to, I'd be glad to give details as well. I can see, I've probably put too much time into this over the past week and I could go too much detail, so I think questions would be the best way.
Anyone? When did you put that timeline in the packet?
Yes, it should be in the package.
It is, it is. Did you just put it in today?
Aaron, did we put that in yesterday? Or the Monday?
Monday, I believe.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I have it. I didn't see it first time around. So. Okay. Also, this old business section, wanted to quickly talk about that equity policy and Harry Frank's work. We were originally going to talk about that today, and in our discussion, we thought we'd take another week or 2 weeks and talk about it on March 19th. Bill will be here in person and he can help us with some of the working through that. So we didn't forget it, we're just moving it forward. So that's that. Anything else on that, Bill? I think I covered that, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you have any questions tonight or you have any questions anytime, email me, call me. As I've told you before, I'm paying particular close attention to this, and I think most superintendents are.
Yeah.
General question. So you said you sent the survey, which hopefully we all go through and answer, send our opinions as loudly as possible. What other good ways of broadcasting our opinions on this are there? Is contacting our representatives?
Yeah, contact our representatives and senators. There's been some really good questions by the Franklin County congressional group in testimony there at Senate Ed, Senate Ways and Means, House Ed, or House Ways and Means. I've spoken with a couple of them in the past week. So, I mean, I would encourage you to reach out to them. And also use VSBA as a vehicle as well. I don't know that they've officially taken a position, but they are your voice as well to the legislature. But please feel free to do it yourself as well.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, moving on to new business. We have item A, HVAC purchase. It's attachment 9A in your packet. I think Bree's here to talk about it.
Yes. So Marty Spalding, our project manager at PCI, put together the attached quote that's in the board packet to purchase the heating recovery unit up at the high school. This was previously approved in the 2025 capital plan, but there is a 16-week lead time to get this in. Some of the other vendors were saying 6 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks, and we know how supply and demand goes, and it will probably end up being 16 weeks out. But with this work, we are recommending to use the vendor Thermal Environment to purchase this HRU unit in the amount of $53,428.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, please, to purchase that unit for that amount?
I'll make a motion to come on.
I'll second.
Thank you. Who seconded?
Amanda?
Thank you. Any discussion related to this? Hearing none, we're going to take.
I've got just
Oh, yes. go ahead.
just sort of a question about something that you've already said, just to make sure I'm clear. So there's another bid that's close in amount, and comes in at a faster lead time. Your belief is that there will be delays in that lead time, so it will really be closer to 16 weeks.
I think so, yes.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll take a roll vote on that motion. Amanda?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Nakuma?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Just give me a
Okay, thank you. Suzanne?
Yes.
Hilda votes yes. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, the next item we have on our agenda is board retreat date. So we've had it in April or May in the past. One time we had it in the summer, but I think it works out better not in the summer. But we have to make a couple of decisions. One of them is, do we want an external facilitator? We wanted an external facilitator in the past, but they didn't really knock our socks off, as you recall. And they tend to be very system-oriented with process improvement methodology, rather than the meat of the stuff that we kind of want to talk about. So if we didn't go with an external facilitator, I'm sure we could figure that out. We just would have to be very structured in our process so that we don't go yakking away. But I mean, some of the stuff that we need to talk about, I think, would be, evidence of working our strategic plan. What work did the board do? What work did the staff do? And we can even get into, our strategic plan has some goals in it and stuff. So that's all work we can do, and we could almost set it up like, Bill and I were talking the other day, almost like a gap analysis of this is where we thought we were going to be and this is where we are. And I think we could probably do that with people in-house and not have to go out. So that's one thing. Does anyone agree with what I'm saying? Yes? Okay, good. And then the other thing, obviously, we can ask Erin to send out a Google Calendar, whatever they're called, Doodle poll, I guess, to figure out when the best time is to do this, date and time. And then I think those are the two main things that we would have to figure out. So I think unless there's any other question, I guess we should.
Nailed it.
Yeah?
And I just, one thing,
Yeah?
last year we used the VSBA self-assessment tool for
Oh,
boards
yes, yeah.
as a way to collect information to help for the board to look at for itself.
Yep.
Erin made a Google form. I believe we've done that for 2 years. So if the board would like, we could send that out to board members to self-assess where the board's at, so you have some of that feedback for yourself, for your own goals. Because it's not just the district goals, but they're the board goals as well. So
Okay.
that would get the board some data from yourselves about how you feel you're doing as well.
How do people feel about that? Good? Okay. So yes, please send that out.
Okay.
And we have a little bit of time here to come up with a date, but, calendars fill in quickly, and this is like usually about a 3-hour commitment, 2.5 to 3 hour commitment, usually in early.
And do people like being up at Hardak at the at the Brown Lodge?
That wasn't bad. Yeah.
Okay, so Aaron and I can talk and we'll try to figure out some dates that we could possibly use it and send out a doodle poll to the board in the next week or so.
That'd be great. Thank
Okay.
you. The next item is the 2025-2026 school calendar, which you have a copy of in your packet. This is sent for our information, but it's a good, way to put things in your calendar so you have them in there and you can work around it. And if you see something that obviously isn't going to work, like, you're doing something on some special day that we didn't catch or they didn't catch, let us know, because we have moved these in the past. We usually try to have only one meeting in July and one meeting in August, and it's usually that third Wednesday. If it was such that we didn't have any business, I suppose we might be able to skip like a July meeting, but we'd have to see where we're at before we got there.
I already know I won't be able to make that July date.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. Did we do it last year? Did we skip the July meeting last year?
We did. Yes.
Yeah, I think we did. August is pretty important because it's just before school starts and we need to do that. But anyway, look at that calendar and see if you noticed any conflicts at all.
Can I just point something out about this school calendar for next year? Because I think it's a good thing to reference.
Yes, you're very excited about this, so go ahead.
I am really excited about it. I think almost every superintendent is, because this is the first time in Vermont history that there's been an aligned major vacation set for the entire state of Vermont. So now winter vacation in December, February vacation, April vacation, and I'm not quite sure about Thanksgiving, but it might be Thanksgiving too, are all the same across the entire state. So there's some individual days that aren't, and it's for Champlain Valley, which is Addison, Franklin, and Chittenden and Grand Isle counties, we have every day the same for in school. So it is really aligned. And we're trying to, that just helps in more ways than I can think of having us aligned across schools. So
Yeah.
we're getting there. So I am really excited about it because it's been a long, hard effort to get us all in the same major vacations across the state.
Yeah, thank you. Great. Okay, moving on to other business, we have the warrants. I'd like to make a motion to approve the warrants, acknowledging that passage of this motion will act as authorization and signature of any individual board members participating remotely. I made that motion. Can someone second that, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, we're going to vote on that motion. And we're going to vote, Amanda,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Nakuma,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Joanna,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Mary Ann,
Yes.
thank you, Suzanne,
Yes.
Nilda votes yes. Warrants are approved. Next item is 10B, Superintendent's Report.
So we kind of went through it when we were in the consent agenda. We talked about the board work plan. And I'd like to pose a question to the board about the board work plan. We were, in our initial planning for the equity work, we thought we would be done in February. We will be working on that. Will be a work session on 3/19. And there's a draft that just literally came end of day Monday. So we'll get that out to folks to look at. So we'll have a work session to work on that on the 19th. And we've been doing that and not to make the meeting too long, not to have reports. So far this year, we've given you a report on each of the 5 goals, but our plan was to do it twice every year. So if we started in April, we could get all 5 goals, if we had one a meeting, we could have a report on all 5 goals from the second meeting in April, 1 in April, 2 in May, and 2 in June. I would propose that we move the rigorous academics and expectations to the end of June because we'll have spring data. And John will be elated, as he was last year, again, to share student data at the end of June. So, in the 3rd week of June.
It's gonna be great.
Your last report
Yeah.
to us. Your last report to
but
us.
That would be.
Better make it
Yeah.
happen.
And the other thing is, I was thinking that we should review maybe before we go to a retreat. So I would propose the first meeting in April, that we take all the board observations that we have forms for and review those as a board. That'll help seed some of the retreat work. So that way we could, for the retreat, we could have all the first set of reports, and we could have the board observations. And then we'll do those board report, a report on each goal, starting the second meeting in April, and then 2 in May and 2 in June. So that, I'm throwing that out. Hilda and Charlie and I discussed this on Monday, and John. And so I'm throwing that out there to get some feedback on that idea.
We definitely need to review those, and if anybody's still got them at their home and they need to send them send them to Aaron, because he's sliding them into the end of our work, scanning them into the end of our work plan document. That works for me. Anybody have any objections or anything to what Bill has suggested?
No, it makes sense.
I think that's a yes.
Okay, all right, great. That's a big part of my superintendent report, because we've really had 3 days of school since we last met, even though we had a vacation. A couple of things that went on, actually 4 days, because we moved it to a Tuesday. So it was great, and I saw a few of you there at the city school concert, band concert, which was great, and we've had some other things go on, either from the BFA improv team, doing something at Twigs to raise money for Samaritan House, or Spirit Days in many of our pre-K schools, and our informational session last week. So I think I'll end it there. Nova, if there's any questions or comments, be glad to.
Questions for Bill? Not hearing any, we're zipping right through this meeting. All right, next item is the board announcements.
Oh, Nilda, I forgot one thing, I'm sorry.
No, can't do it now. No, go ahead.
Okay?
Go ahead.
In a week and a half, so on the 17th, we have a scheduled board education session. And last month we did it to go over the governor's plan for education. When I look at the topics and the list that we have, we did something on curriculum and instruction, we did something on school improvement, staffing models, and on special education. The next couple of topics we have are attendance and school engagement, and general education supports and interventions, and mental health. Those are the next 3. We have a list of 15 that you all gave us, and we prioritized. So I wanted to take suggestions from the board on where to go next, or if we think we just need another educational system update on the governor, where things stand in the legislature. Millie, you and Charlie and I talked a little bit about that on Monday, and we thought it was good to ask the board what was the sense of the board and direction to go for that educational session on the 17th.
Yeah. Pretty darn to learn about.
I'm really interested, I don't feel like we've talked a lot about dropout rates and graduation rates and what we're doing in terms of student-family engagement around that.
Yes, thank you. Is that covered on one of the topics you just said? You said something, the last one you those three you mentioned, what was the third one?
Well, that kind of, it's a little bit under the general education supports that we provide families. I would have to go get folks together to put that together. That sounds very high school piece, just the way you put it, Joanna, I don't know if you meant it that way. But we would, I know John and I could work with Polly and talk about what's going on at the high school for that and those supports.
Is that,
And just what our rates, like, just educating ourselves more about like what our rates are.
Yeah, that we can definitely do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the Vermont Dedicated Act for, we can do that.
is that,
And how our programs are potentially impacting that, you know, like, we've kind of talked about some of our alternative programs and the reasons in which they were initially put into place, and I guess making sure that we are creating programs for all of those like safety nets for students that we're catching.
So it'd be great to have Polly go through Carter's discussion, because there's many things that it's not just some of the programs you see, there's enough, but I think probably even more movement on other areas
Great.
for some kids with alternative pathways.
Great.
so is that the pleasure of the board? I mean, everybody interested?
Yeah, you have a suggestion?
Yeah, that's important. But I also think currently the situation with the state educational system is pretty darn important. So I think both things would be good. If that makes sense. Because things are changing. You know, the legislature's going to present different bills. They're going to be, you know, different than the governor's original proposal. So for us to understand what's really going on, I think it would be good to touch base on that.
How many sessions do we have before the end of June?
We have one every month on the third Monday schedule of the month.
So we have a space for that, we could,
Yeah,
Whichever.
or we could leave the last 15, 20 minutes, you know, we'd have Polly come and talk and have plenty of time for questions, and then leave space because we try to keep it to an hour. And I think, you know, whatever has changed between now and then, I know that the House head has said if they're going to change something major this year, they've got to have a really good direction by the end of this month. They've said that to me now. I don't know what that is and what timeline really adheres to it for them, but that's what I've heard them say in committee.
so is Jack's suggestion also a pleasure of the board? Yeah, okay. Okay, I guess you got some info.
Okay, John and I will talk with Polly. I think we can definitely get you some of the data and then at least some of the description of different programs that we're using to support kids.
Right. I think, well, I don't know if this is what Joanna said, but it made me think of this. You know, it would be good to get a touch base as to how our alternative program is doing too, right? And I mean, that will connect a little bit with.
A little bit, but it's a little different too. I mean, does it prevent some dropouts? Yes, but it's not the full range of what we do for dropout prevention.
Yeah, it would be good to just have a quick update on that, I think. I don't know how anybody else feels.
Yeah.
All right, you got three things now. Okay,
Thank you, no.
sure. Board announcements. Anyone have any announcements?
My son's hockey team won the state championship in his tier, which is pretty cool, and the SASA program in general sent 7 teams to their tier's championship and 5 of them won, which the feeling among at least some of the parents that I've talked to is that they were more equitable this year with ice time and practice time, making sure the kids got what they needed. So that's kind of a nod in terms of how paying attention to equity can really elevate the success of everyone. And for my own son's team, we were really lucky. Willie DeSoto was the goalie, and she's also on BFA, and BFA, comments were very, very kind not to coach her and say that she couldn't play for us as well, which they could have done, but they chose to not torpedo our team, our team's season, and instead win championship, which was nice.
That's great. When I hear that, I feel so old because I worked with Lily's mom, and I remember when her mom was pregnant for her. Well, there you go. True confessions. Any other board announcements? Jack?
Just a comment, having been, like I've told you before, over 1,400 board meetings, you all need to be commended, and especially the superintendent. Many of you went out of your way to do extra events to cause the budget to pass. You met with people. I coordinated a meeting. I know Charlie had some meetings. Some others did some things. The superintendent did many things, many meetings. It didn't just happen. And you passed your budget, and you all worked very hard, and I think you all should be commended, and the staff and the superintendent especially.
Grand.
Huh?
Grand.
Well, especially Brianne.
It was a team effort.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
yeah, you had to put a lot of work into it. So.
We're the team.
Suggestions.
Thanks, Jack. Any other board announcements? No. Bill, where are you right now?
You
Sorry about that. I'm in my hotel room in New Orleans at the National Superintendent's Conference, which starts first thing tomorrow.
Yeah, isn't that rough?
Oh, yesterday.
You've
Did
seen,
you do
you've
it?
seen a lot of beads? A lot of people with beads?
Sorry, I have a hard time hearing you, so say that again.
Did you celebrate Mardi Gras while you were there?
I'm talking about beads.
I got here afterwards, but I can see the aftermath as I
I bet the aftermath is almost as gnarly as the whole thing was.
Yeah.
Well,
It's not the usual clean, but I guess they couldn't have many parades yesterday because the weather was so severe here. They actually canceled all but one parade.
Wow.
They usually have.
Well-
According to my driver, he said there's usually like 10 to 12 parades.
well, learn lots and enjoy.
Yeah.
You talked about the plan for board observations and reflections, and as I said, if you have some that you went to and you haven't filled them out yet, send them on to Aaron's. Agenda for future meetings, we have supports for new staff. We gotta get rolling on that agenda item. We don't need an executive session. Is there any other business that needs to come before the board? Hearing none, we are adjourned, and it is 6, what's the time? 6:53. Wow.